I'm Nick Bollettieri, and I'm with my most prominent student and my friend, Andre Agassi. And what we've done in this tape is put together all of the things we know. Oh yeah, we don't know it all, but what we do know, we put into a video that you're really going to enjoy, and you're going to view it all the time.
It has great music, outrageous visuals, with also some good knowledge. We're going to get you to play better and more inspiring tennis.
And we're going to attack. The first thing that you should do when you come to the tennis court is start preparing mentally and physically to get ready to go out and attack. All right, how do we attack? We're going to warm up inside the service line, and that's called mini tennis. It's going to make you utilize that racket head more than ever before. The racket is going to get underneath the ball with a brushing effect, and this will give the ball a little lift and a little spin to bring it back inside that service line. So this is the time you start moving back, and you go back towards the baseline. Once he gets this message, he's ready to start going for it. The stage is set to attack the ball. Please notice that Andre comes after the ball. He doesn't wait for the ball. You know, that's the trick, to feel you're coming after it. Use this mini practice drill every time you go out on the court. This will force you to hit the ball up on the rise, and soon you're going to form that muscle memory. You'll start applying that philosophy no matter what position you are on the court.
Now, if some of you have trouble finding a practice partner, or even more so, even a court time, it'd be great if you can just find a wall or something to hit against, because what you can work on out here is not only concentration, but you can work on racket head, acceleration, and even work on your footwork a little bit, which couldn't hurt, like this. Don't get discouraged when you try this. People who think this is easy really haven't tried it themselves. Look how quick I have to get in position, hit the ball. It's not easy, especially the concentration factor. And if you can do 50 balls in a row like this, when you get on the tennis court, you can probably do twice that much. Here on the volleys is a great drill for your reflexes and your eye-hand timing. It'll help develop your ability to quickly get prepared, and it'll help you when you get in a tight situation at net.
You know, when working with students at the academy, I'm trying to develop the total game. I want you to play an attacking game. But as part of the total game, I also want a weapon, and that's what Andre Agassi has. He has a big forehand weapon. Why does he have a weapon? Number one, his dad said, Andre, hit that ball. I don't care where it goes. Hit the heck at it. What makes his forehand so big? And how can his forehand help you? First of all, his position on the court is one that's very close to the baseline, and he's trying to hit the ball up on the rise. Two, Andre uses a semi-western grip. He utilizes semi-western with the hand slightly behind the racket. Everything he does, his whole attitude is coming after the ball and attacking that ball. The swings are numerous. You can have a straight back, a semicircular loop, or the total loop. Andre uses the full circular swing. The benefit of this looping style backswing is its continuous motion. The drop of the racket head gives it a little extra power to go after it and really attack the ball. Next, I want you to notice the shoulder and hip rotation. That's important. And when watching Andre Agassi, he may not even move his left foot to have a partially closed stance. But what else does he do? He goes for it. He extends his racket outward towards the target and then continues to follow through with the racket head coming back slightly above the left shoulder to complete the full swing. This weight transfer and his controlled balance starts the recovery in preparation to make position for the next ball without losing any time. As the ball comes to you, your ready position is key. Why? Because the first step determines how quickly you can get to the ball. Let the stance be natural for you. Next, the racket head acceleration. Look at the racket head speed up. And this does not mean snapping your wrist. It means the racket head getting to the ball, going through the ball with lots of confidence. Speeding up on contact is the key. Hips and shoulders again are turned. The contact point, for the most part, should be out in front of you. But if the ball gets behind you, don't panic. Don't use excessive body motion or wrist snapping. Instead, let that racket head accelerate and make contact with confidence. Wait just a second and let that racket head do the speaking for you and speak up at the last second. The last thing I want to bring up is watching the ball. I think you should watch the ball from the time it leaves your racket, not watching the ball just when it leaves your opponent's racket. By doing this, you then can anticipate where the ball is going and what type of shot will be hit. And that will enable you to get the quick step to move forward into position to attack the next ball. In developing the weapon, you have to practice. You have to practice to be able to hit that inside-out forehand, hit the short angles, and hit the high rollers. We're going to set up targets, and we're going to make you do it till you say you can't do it. But I'm going to make you practice more. Hit thousands of those balls, and soon you're going to say, I've got it.
People look at this shot, and they don't think it's an offensive one. But you'd be surprised how attacking the shot really is. It pushes your opponent way behind the baseline, which sets up a number of options you'll have after he returns it short. But again, the most important thing is consistency and depth. What I like to do here is set the tone for a match by dictating the point, especially with my forehand shot. And you'll see the depth on the first one, which sets up the short one, then I take advantage out of it and see my shot and go for it. The worst thing a player can do is be tentative when he gets his opportunity. And right when I get this short ball, I see it, with no hesitation, I go for the open court. If this video gets any of you to play, don't miss it. I think the important thing for a tennis professional is to have absolutely no weaknesses and one strength. And I would have to say that my forehand is my strength, and I think it's a frame of mind more than anything. Anytime I get that short ball, I know I'm just going to go up there and just whack it and just go for it. If I miss it, I'm just coming back the next time to do it harder. And I think the important thing is even if you do miss it, I think it really scares your opponent and intimidates them and allows you to even get more confidence on your game. So having a strong weapon, mine being the forehand, is important to everybody's game.
The forehand, your swing, the looping backswing. But make sure that looping backswing is not too high. Andre's looping backswing for most players would be too high. I suggest a more compact backswing. The hips and shoulders should rotate immediately. And as you rotate those hips and shoulders, the racket head is going back in position. Contact point. Try and meet the ball out in front of you. Accelerate that racket head. The recovery, the full follow-through is very important. But at the same time that you are following through, the recovery should be in motion. Agassi, big forehand. Hey, don't underestimate his backhand. His backhand is devastating, especially when he hits down the line. he has two hands on the racket. This doesn't mean you have to have a two-handed backhand. You can have a one-handed backhand and hit it just as well. Footwork. Improve that first movement for the ball. As you start that forward part of the swing, I want you to watch that front leg of Andre's. It enables him to get underneath the ball. This is how he gets the lift. Now I want you to watch how the hips and left shoulder come around as he hits the ball. That gives him good balance. There's the lift. And let's watch the rapid acceleration on contact. That gives you the power. Sometimes he even uses a loop backswing, but normally it's a straight back. But whatever backswing he uses, it's the quick hip and shoulder rotation. Hands work together. But on the contact, the top hand is going to do the work. It's going to accelerate that racket head through the ball. Some of you go out towards the target and wrap it around your shoulder. As he gets back to position, he never takes his eye off the ball. He watches the ball as he recovers, so he knows exactly what that opponent is going to do before he hits the ball. The weight transfer. It's important that the weight transfer on the backhand is really set up. For the most part, you don't open up as quickly as you do on the forehand. Weight transfer and recovery are essential to play an attacking game. Andre can hit the little angle shots, or he can hit the topspin lob off the same motion, or he can come forward and drive the ball. Now he's going to come up with the angle shot from the very same motion, but just before contact, he gets underneath and brushes the ball with that racket head. And now the topspin lob with the opponent coming to the net. Again, this very same backswing, hips turning, use of the front leg, which is imperative to get under the ball. But remember, it's making positions. Get yourself set with good balance to use that front leg and weight transfer. And by using the same motion every time, you can keep your opponent guessing as to what shot you are going to hit. In order to hit these shots, you have to practice. Have you ever thought of playing in between the singles and doubles lines? Try it.
This is a drill that is great for people just starting out in tennis. It's made for just teaching them control. What you try to do is just keep the ball in the alley.
Do not pull off the ball too quickly. Stay with it a fraction longer to develop greater accuracy and placement.
Now pay attention here. Even as he gets a big serve and starts dictating the point, I stand my ground and constantly keep moving forward. If you notice, I don't let his big serve and even effective volley push me off the baseline. The reason why my forehand seems to stand out so much is because it gets complemented so well by my backhand. Not too many people notice how much I do at the backhand, because when I put away the final shot on the forehand, that kind of overshadows everything. So my backhand, I use to set up a lot of points with the high loopers, with the down the lines, and I string the player off wide, and then when I get that short ball on the forehand side, I really punish it, which everybody looks at the forehand, but if it wasn't for my backhand, you wouldn't see me hit half as many forehands.
The backswing starts with the hip and shoulder rotation. It's important to get to the ball and set up properly. If you set up with your weight coming forward, whether you're hitting a two-handed stroke or a one-handed stroke, your strokes will improve. Get down there. Let that front leg work for you. That's going to give you the lift and the power that's needed to hit those passing ground strokes. Recovery. Again, follow out and through the ball. Let that racket head point to the contact zone or where you're trying to hit it. Are you developing the big forehand and that offensive backhand? You are hoping to get that ball that sits there and gives you an opportunity to come to the net and put the ball away or end the point. That's important. If you hit big forehands and you hit big backhands and you don't follow up on it, you might as well just stay back at the baseline and get the ball back and forth and play. A volley is making contact with the ball before it bounces and then just directing it. Utilize your opponent's power. In order to do that, you have to do certain things. One, you've got to get into a grip that enables you to hit both the forehand and the backhand volley without changing your grip. You just don't have time. Andre uses a combination of a two-handed volley with no release of the top hand, or the same setup where he releases the left hand just before he makes contact. When practicing the volley, experiment with both methods to see which one gives you the greatest control. And the third option is the plain one-handed volley, whatever works best for you. When volleying, the ready position is even more important because the ball reaches you so quick because of your court position. Open your eyes up wide and watch the ball every second. Your ready position, with your knees relaxed, your weight forward, so that you can go to absolutely any height or direction and even defend yourself if the ball comes right at you. As you take that simple hip and shoulder rotation and look straight ahead, making sure you see that racket frame without moving your head one fraction of an inch. If you can see that racket frame, you're in position to volley. All you have to do then is just direct the ball. Now in directing the ball, how about squeezing that racket just before contact so it doesn't vibrate or twist in your hand? No swinging at all. Just block the ball and make contact with it out in front of you. To me, that will make that volley improve immediately. Let's talk about that practice session and improving the volley. One that's very successful at the academy for us is just coming right up to the net like you're going to shake hands with your practice partner. And what are we going to do? We're going to get down facing each other like we're ready to go after each other in a boxing match. And we're going to have, oh yes, that little hip and shoulder rotation. And what we're going to do is a little shoulder jab. Boom, boom, boom. No swing at all. That will make that volley improve immediately. And that's what it's all about. Practice it, you're going to get it.
One of the most important things a person could do in a match is always apply pressure on his opponent. And here you'll notice, as soon as I get that short ball, I'll take it, I'll hit it, and I'll come in and put pressure on him to come up with a big shot. Even if you have powerful ground strokes, it's real important to use that to your benefit by taking a short ball, hitting your strong shot, and coming in and just blocking a volley. It makes a point a lot easier on you and even a lot tougher on your opponent. Here I'll get the short ball, go right back behind him, come in, boom, block the volley right behind him. He's out of position and unable to cover. Watch here, I've already made up my mind what I want to do with this. I want to come in, my eyes are constantly watching the ball. Ball comes, I meet firmly, and just block it behind him for the winner. I think the volley is something that everybody should add to their game. It can only help. A lot of people are just baseliners, and they tend to think that if I can win from the baseline, why should I come to net? But hey, I'd rather run up to net and just dink a little volley for a winner than hit 15 balls from the baseline. So I'm personally working on coming to net more and putting away the volleys, and I think it's important for everybody to.
The forehand and backhand volley. There is nothing more important than that solid, good, ready position. Get down with your weight slightly forward so you can move to the right or move to the left, or even be in good balance if that ball comes right at you. It's not swinging at the ball, but just making contact with the opponent's ball and directing it. The hip and shoulder rotation is the backswing. This keeps that racket head out in front of you. Your eyes should concentrate on the ball with a minimum of head movement. That's the volley. Let's talk about the serve. First of all, the serve is a key part of the game because it depends whether or not you're in trouble after you hit it or you're controlling the point. If you can, at the very minimum, get a neutral return, you have a chance to win the point. We want more than the neutral return. We want a feeble return from a forcing serve. The grip. Andre Agassi uses the continental grip for the flat serve with a minimum of spin on the ball. For the second serve, he moves his hand slightly to the left to the backhand grip, which enables him to put a brushing up effect on the ball with spin and added control. The same is true for his kicker serve, which Andre will use as a first or second serve. 2. The toss. The ball and racket must work together. No matter what serve motion you have elected, the ball and racket work together, giving you rhythm and timing. The toss is essential. You must throw the ball up high enough to give you time to get that racket around so you can make contact in the same place over and over again. Normally on the first serve, the best place to toss the ball is slightly in front of you and in the area of your left foot or your front foot. On the second serve, a small variation with the ball thrown not so far in front and a bit more to the left. For the majority of players, the tossing area doesn't change much because they want to disguise the type of serve they are going to hit up until the point of contact. The ball and racket must work together to be able to reach up, make contact, get that racket going, and a big follow through. At the point of release, the left hand must be fully extended, pointing upward while the right hip and shoulder are rotating in a slight downward motion, preparing the racket head for its accelerated upward motion. Do not forget the use of the legs in the serve. It's so essential to provide the extra power and upward movement towards the ball. Getting the thrust from your legs and getting that right side to rotate at the same time towards the ball will give you the feeling that you are attacking the ball with confidence. Another thought to the serve is, where do you end up? Does your left foot come forward? Do you jump up off your feet? Do you keep your left foot planted and go up on your toe and let your right leg come over? All of them are correct. Look at the service of today. Everyone hits it differently. The stance. You must get into a stance that gives you balance to apply your serving motion with the ball and racket working together. The follow-through. Whether you are a serve and volleyer or a baseline player, you must follow through into the court with your weight going forward. You either continue to the net or recover back to the baseline position. Power versus placement. In your arsenal of serves, you should have the ability to hit the big serve. But if it isn't working on a given day, don't panic. Go to your other weapon, which is the high percentage placement serve, which will keep your opponent guessing and allow you to still play your attacking service game.
The most important thing about hitting an effective serve is not how hard you hit it, but where you put it. So watch here in slow motion the extension of my arms and also the racket head acceleration when I meet the ball. I think there's a lot of misconceptions on what a good server actually is. A lot of people think, hey, if I hit that first serve real hard, even if I miss, I'm going to look like a good server. And then they go for a second serve and they just pray that it's going to go in. I think the idea is to take a little bit off that first serve and just get a lot more first serves in, and eventually as you start doing that, you'll find your confidence start making that serve get a little harder, and pretty soon it'll be a big serve. But it's important to work on your percentage more so than power, and work on your placement more so than power. And if you're moving the serve around, it's a lot more effective than people realize.
The serve. It's very important that you establish a sound stance that enables you to have good balance in the total serve motion. You've got to go up after the ball. You've got to toss that ball up with your left hand. As that left hand is fully extended, the right side of your body has rotated with the hip and shoulders. Those legs are going to push you up and after that ball. You're going to make contact with that ball with an accelerated racket head. And then I want you to follow through with a big follow through on the completion of the serve. Return of serve, huh? You mean the attacking return of serve. That's what it's about. Andre Agassi, 4 and 5 years old. His father, Mike, standing behind him. Go for it, son. Hit it. Hit it, son. Harder, harder, harder. That's why Andre Agassi's return of serve is a weapon. The mental attitude is positive. You are going to go for the ball. If you can return service, your serve improves immediately. Why? Because you know you can break the man or break the lady anytime you want. Let's talk about the return of serve. 1, the hip and shoulder rotation must be positive. 2, whether it be a straight back or a semicircle, it makes no difference. Also, you've got to pick up the ball immediately, not when it bounces. Pick up the ball the second it leaves your opponent's racket. Which means, can you get a tip from where your opponent is tossing the ball? That might tell you what type of serve. Normally on return of serve, the first return, the racket should be a little low. Why? It's normally a forcing flat serve with very little action. The second serve, however, get that racket head up a little higher. Why? The ball is going to kick, bounce up. So remember, the ready position is key. Weight forward, good hip and shoulder rotation. Don't be dreaming. Don't worry where you're going to hit that first return of serve. Just get it back in the beginning. Also, do not concentrate on the opponent. You concentrate on the ball. You have enough to contend with. The ball. You are playing against the ball, not the opponent. Get the ball back so that you put the opponent in trouble. If they're an attacker, get it at their feet so they have to volley up. I'm going to give you a heck of a practice point. Get your opponent or your pro to get up on the service line. Get that basket of balls. Let the server get up close to you and fire the ball. Why? You must eliminate all excess movements. You have to pick up that ball early. You have to have that quick shoulder and hip rotation. Why? The ball will get by you if you don't.
See, the idea of this drill is if you put somebody up there to serve from that range, what happens is when they stand back at the baseline in a regular match, you feel like you have all day to hit the shot. It teaches you not to waste any extra motion while you're returning serve. Make it short and sweet. Just like that.
Another way to improve return of service is to stand inside the baseline when rallying. Why? Why will this improve your return of serve? Because this forces you to hit each ball on the rise with a much shorter version of your regular forehand. In turn, it emphasizes the importance once again of the immediate hip and shoulder rotation. It cuts down on the backswing, and again it makes you pick up the ball sooner. That's the return of serve, a key element to the game of tennis.
Here I am again on the service return, making him feel the pressure. And if you look here in slow motion, you'll see exactly how I hit that shot so offensive. If you notice the hips and shoulder rotation that we've been talking about, That's where we get the power from. Now, when somebody has a serve about as big as Becker's, the important thing is to still try to stay in control of the point. And so therefore, as you notice, I'll stand close to the baseline, ready to jump on anything he serves at me. And the first thing I do when he hits that big serve is I come forward, anticipate it, and keep that backswing short and simple. Here again, you notice my backswing. Notice how it's really short and didn't have to do much with it. Just block that serve right back, use his power to your advantage. Return to serve really helps me, and where I think it's very important is if you're able to return well and break a person, it's all that much easier to hold serve. And I think that's very important. And what I try to do on a service return is I try to punish their serve so much that they try going for a bigger serve, and then they try going for a bigger serve, and pretty soon they start missing, they start getting the double faults, and then it's all a step in really setting the tone for a match. And if I'm breaking a person, chances are I'm going to be holding serve just as much.
Return to serve is important. You must attack the ball. I want you to get down into a good ready position. Get down. Watch the ball. Pick it up quickly. But if you have that hip and shoulder rotation, you've got that short swing. You can get that ball back, and you can get it back offensively. And that's what I want you to do. Once you get confidence that you can return serve, then start placing your return to serve. The overhead. I want to give you a few important keys to remember in hitting the overhead. It's fairly similar to a serve, except you got to make position with your feet. You can run sideways, you can run to the left or to the right. You take the crossover step to start going backwards, but you have got to move. Your swing is fairly similar to the serve. You may cut down that swing to perhaps a half a swing, but it's exactly the same. You've got to have that left hand fully extended and tracking the ball to the point of contact. And you've got to go up after it. And you've got to attack it in the same manner as you would the serve. Get that racket head up there and let it do its work. Get that racket head to speed up on contact and go up and reach for the ball as if you own it. And remember, if that left side is up and your head is up, you're going to be reaching up for the ball. And if the ball gets behind you a little bit, don't worry about that. Speed up the racket head a little bit more and exaggerate your follow through. If you try to guide the ball back into the court, the ball is going to go long, and even if it does go in, it has no power. So what did you gain? But on the other hand, we do not want you to muscle the ball for power. It is the timing and rhythm, and yes, relaxation that allows you to reach up with that racket head and let it do its work. A word of caution. Try to keep your upper body very still and with your head looking up towards the ball at all times. This will prevent any premature pulling off the ball. Watch the ball actually make contact with the racket. You cannot watch the ball too long in the overhead. Make up your mind that you are going to learn how to hit the overhead. How do you practice this? You're going to go out there with your pro or practice partner, and they are going to feed you as many balls as they have to until you learn to hit the overhead. This positive attitude that you're going to hit it will set the stage for improvement. Your first overhead should be from a position fairly close to the net. You will quickly become confident and will then expand your area of practicing the overhead from all directions. After you can hit the shot consistently, then the next step is to go for placement through refined body position and balance, always with a positive racket head acceleration. You can do it. It's just as easy as any other stroke. It's your attitude that counts.
Here you're going to see me using my big ground strokes to set up the point. I'll start working them side to side, just waiting for my opportunity to really attack. And I never try moving off that baseline. I always try coming forward to hit my shots. But big ground strokes don't do you much good if you can't put away the point properly. And when I got that overhead, I had to hit it confidently.
This attacking attitude of Andre is a result of endless hours of practice. There is no shortcut to this quality of play.
Situation on the court where actually there's a lob and I go up for it, the one thing I think about is not so much, hit it away from the person, but I think, hey, pick my spot and let them worry about guessing where I'm going to hit it. I'm not going to try to guess where they're going to run to. And so when I go for the overhead, I hit it the spot that's most easiest for me, and if they're there, they're going to be lucky to return it.
The overhead. You've got to have confidence. You've got to attack the ball. Reach up for the ball. Keep your head still. Full extension like the serve. Utilize your legs. Meet the ball out in front of you. You've got to have good racket acceleration, especially when the ball gets behind you. And you've got to follow through. Play the ball, not the opponent's position. Lob. It is not a new stroke. A lob is nothing more than a forehand and backhand hit with a little higher trajectory. Now you have variations of the lobs. You have the offensive lob, which is nothing more than making contact with the same stroke setup as the forehand or backhand ground stroke. Except just before contact, the racket head moves further under the ball, maintaining a firm wrist and a slightly open face of the racket head. The defensive lob is similar to the offensive lob, but has a more open face, sending the ball to a much higher height over the net to gain some time in order to recover position. Then you have the famous Andre Agassi topspin forehand and backhand lob. Because of Andre's semi-western grip and rapid racket acceleration, with the racket head making contact far underneath the ball, this shot is a powerful and deceiving weapon. With the quick acceleration and brushing effect from either his forehand or backhand side, the opponent will often look up and say, oh, that ball is going out, and it falls in about 2 feet from the baseline. When the ball has that excessive topspin rotation, it has a big advantage. It will clear the net well over the opponent's outstretched racket and still fall into the playing area. Andre uses this shot to create outright winners, and in addition, it helps him set up his angles and passing shots when the opponent elects to stay back from that attacking net position. It's a point of beauty to watch Andre do this shot. I want you to hit the lob exactly how you hit your ground strokes. Make the preparation, the excitement, the same as if you're going to hit a big forehand or backhand. And at the last split second, drop the racket head underneath the ball to hit one of the 3 different lobs. A few practice tips. Number 1, the mini game. Remember the mini tennis game? What's the key to mini tennis? The rapid acceleration of the racket head. The same as applies to the topspin lob. You want to practice the offensive lob? Just hit regular ground strokes a little higher. And the defensive lob, higher yet. And if that isn't enough, anytime your opponent attacks the net for the next month, I want you to hit a lob. Hit a lob. Even if the opponent goes back and hits the overhead for outright winners. Next, when practicing your ground strokes from the baseline, vary the height of the ball each and every time. If you practice it enough in practice, you create the confidence to try it when you play. Make the lob a weapon. But remember, you've got to create that muscle memory so that it becomes automatic. You don't think about it. You can get it. And when you do, they're going to be paying for those balls all the time because you are going to start winning some matches.
As I mentioned earlier, the most important thing about a lob is to hit it long rather than short to back your opponent off the net. And you notice here, I saw my opportunity but got a little tentative and I didn't go for the shot as much as I should have. And here you'll see a chance to hit a lob, but instead of getting tentative, I just went for it a little more racket head acceleration, and boom, right over his head. And even if I had missed it, it still keeps him guessing, and it still would have been a great asset for me as the match progressed. Watch the return, how I come forward and block under his feet, and then I quickly get to the next shot, prepare, and the most important thing is disguising it. He had no idea that lob was coming, and that's what made it so effective. One of the most important things to remember about hitting a well-hit lob is to disguise it, is that with the same motion, you can hit the lob, you can hit the down the line, or you can hit the angle. Because if you can't disguise the lob and they know when it's coming, it's really useless to even hit it. And if you're going to hit the lob and you want and you think you might miss it, don't be scared to hit it effectively, even if you think you might hit it long, because it's important to always keep that guy guessing. And I'd rather hit the lob out than hit it short and have him put it away.
The lob, the offensive and defensive lobs. There is nothing more important than the disguise in the lob. You must hit the lob as if you're going to hit a ground stroke. You set up exactly the same. The lob is exactly the same as a forehand and backhand. Hold that ball on that racket and just hit it a little higher over the net. That's all you've got to do. In order to learn that topspin lob, you've got to drop that racket head far underneath that ball. And you've got to accelerate that racket head with a brushing effect. Don't be afraid. Try it. The drop shot. It is not a new stroke. There I go again. A drop shot is nothing more than a backhand or a forehand hit with a little less power. Hold that ball on your racket a little longer. Get the feeling that the ball belongs to that racket. Hold on to it. Don't give it away. No racket acceleration on contact. Once you get this feeling, open the face slightly, where you put a little reverse spin on the ball. That makes the ball hit and almost come back to you. The opponent must rush forward, and if they are able to reach the ball, they are often off balance or out of position, setting the stage for your attacking winner, a passing shot, or even a lob. Once again, the key is to disguise the shot until you actually make contact. Before that contact, your opponent cannot detect whether you will hit a full ground stroke or this, the most underrated offensive shot in the game. Remember, the racket actually carries the ball towards the net, slowing down at contact. rather than accelerating. And that's called a drop shot with a little reverse spin. We keep coming back to the mini tennis game. In your warm-up drills, before playing singles or doubles, taking a lesson, or just practicing, spend the first 10 minutes playing mini tennis. To keep the ball between the service lines, you will have to apply the drop shot techniques, holding on to the ball with a slightly open face to impart a little reverse spin. This is notably different from the mini tennis, where rapid racket head acceleration is used for the topspin and angle shots. In contrast, in this mini tennis drill, the racket decelerates at contact and even opens slightly to apply the reverse spin. Expand your mini game, hitting this drop shot from all positions inside the baseline area. Practice it. You'll get a brand new weapon in your attacking game of tennis.
Backing your opponent up farther and farther is real important, but it's also important to mix it up by not letting them know what you're going to do, like hitting a drop shot every now and then.
That's pretty. That is a very nice shot.
And if you notice here in the replay exactly where in the court I was when I hit that drop shot, I wasn't behind the baseline on the low percentage shot. I was inside the baseline in control of the point. When you're playing somebody and you play an attacking game like I always choose to do, and you're really pushing him back and pushing him back, it seems like every time he takes a step back, the harder you have to hit it to push him back another step. And I remember one match when I was playing, I kept pushing the player back, and eventually he'd run the ball down. I ended up losing the point. And I came off the court, and Nick said to me, he says, you know what, when you're pushing somebody that far back, he says, throw in a drop shot. Who cares if you miss it? Let the guy not know what you're going to do. Therefore, you bring him in, and your big power shot will be all the more effective.
The drop shot. You have got to make believe that you're going to come up and hit the biggest forehand of your life. And then at the last second, open up the racket head just slightly, puts a little spin on the ball, hold that ball on that racket a little longer, and that ball's going to go right over the net.
First things first, we want to spend a couple minutes on the grip. The grip is the foundation for every stroke we hit in tennis. The forehand, backhand, our volleys, half volleys, overheads, our serve. If we don't have the proper grip, there's no way we're going to have the consistency, the power, and the control that we want to have. So it's very important that you understand the grips. Throughout my tapes, I'll be talking about the grips and where there are. There's 4 basic grips. I want to talk about those right now. There's 8 sides to every grip, an octagon. We number those this way. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is on the bottom, and then your backhand side has 2, 3, and 4. This helps us understand where we're trying to get to in order to get to the proper grips. The first grip that we have is called the continental grip. This is on number 1, or the V of the hand on platform number 1. This grip is used in the serve, all of your volleys, your half volleys. If we can learn this grip, it will help us tremendously. Years ago, this used to be the grip that they hit all the strokes with, but now we've changed and go with the continental, mainly on your serve, again, your volleys, your half volleys. Anything around the net, your net game will go to a continental grip. Your slice also is from the continental grip. Then we move over to an Eastern forehand grip, which is the V of the hand right here on platform number 2. This is also called the handshake grip. So if you put the racket out and shake its hand, that's the proper grip. Sampras uses this on his strokes. This will give you a nice flat stroke. Sampras hits pretty flat and powerful. I teach the semi-western, which is the V of the hand on platform number 3. So the V of the hand, platform number 3. This actually is one that most people pick up if they've started very young, because they go, the racket's on the ground, they go down, pick it up. That's in the semi-western grip. Agassi hits with the semi-western forehand grip. Great grip. This is the one I particularly teach because you can hit the spin, you can hit the power, and yet you have that control just by generating a little more spin for the room for air. Going over further is called the western forehand grip, which is the V of the hand on platform number 4. You'll notice with this grip, you actually hit on this side of the racket. With this grip, it's extreme and it puts too much spin on. Mainly it's clay court players that use this grip because they're from the baseline to baseline, they're going extreme topspin. The balls are going real high over the net. I don't particularly like it because I find when you're trying to hit the passing shots, you don't have enough control to keep the ball lower over the net to make the ball dip down. It just gets the ball loopy, too loopy. So I don't particularly like it, but it's important to know this grip. That's this western forehand grip. Then you have the extreme western, which is on platform number 5 on the bottom. Again, it's clear under here. Again, I don't teach that grip. I don't particularly like it. Then what we do is we move over to the backhand side. There's platform number 2 on the backhand side, which is your left side if you're a right-handed player. Number 2, the V of the hand on number 2 is called the eastern backhand grip, just like number 2 on the front side, or your right side is the eastern forehand grip. Eastern backhand grip. This helps get the racket. If you're hitting pretty flat, this is a great grip to have on your backhand. I again teach between the eastern and the semi-western on the backhand grip, the V of the hand on platform number 2 or 3 to get that racket closed on your backhand so you're able to generate the spin. Very important to understand these grips. Again, going clear over to platform number 4 is the western backhand grip. Extreme topspin. I don't particularly like it. Again, back to the clay court players. It's not a very diverse grip. You're better off moving to the semi-western on the forehand, semi-western on the backhand. You're going to be much more diverse that way. Now, if you're left-handed, it's very important to understand everything is just backwards. You start out platform number 1, continental. Now everything to your dominant hand or your left side is now your forehand side. Platform number 2, eastern forehand grip. Platform number 3 is the semi-western forehand grip. You'll hear me talk about this often on your forehand and your backhand. Semi-western. Western is platform number 4. And then extreme western is platform number 5. Again, hitting on the back side of the racket. Then we go back around. Eastern backhand grip for a left-hander. V of the hand, platform number 2 on your right side or your non-dominant hand. Platform number 3 is semi-western backhand grip. Platform number 4 is western backhand grip. So that you know as a lefty, you're going to be just the opposite when I talk about the right-handed side and the left-handed side. Now you know the grips. It's very important that you understand these grips and learn them so that you get the racket head in the proper position. Once you do, you'll find the consistency will increase. The ability to hit these shots will increase, and you'll find you're way ahead of your competitors just by learning the proper grips.
The starting foundation, the quick step, the adjustment, a ball coming at you. Without that strong foundation, Michael Jordan couldn't get free when 3 people are guarding. Another person couldn't get through to hit that impossible forehand. It all comes from the originating position of the strong foundation.
If I've heard Nick say strong foundation once, I've heard him say it 1,000,000 times. To Nick, a strong foundation all starts with the ready position to allow you to be strong through all your movements and all your strokes. This prototype training device allows you to develop all the qualities needed, like a good, strong posture and back position. Hips drop down to a low center of gravity and a wide base to allow you to reflex and move to various positions on the court to hit the killer forehand.
Like a downhill skier, lowering your hip position or center of gravity will improve your quickness, power, and stability. The athletic movement trainer regulates the height of your center of gravity as you practice, building into habit the correct body position and footwork. Adjusted specifically for your height, the bungee cord will resist and remind you when you are using incorrect technique. In match play, you should play every point as if you were wearing an athletic movement trainer.
The problem I've been having with Elena is that when she goes to make contact with the ball, being a big girl especially, she lifts up. And when she lifts up, she can't get underneath the ball at all. It's impossible. Now, what this helping device is doing for me is making her keep the lower part of the body down and utilize her legs. And that's what I need. I need the lower body use in the ground stroke. And this is going to remind me to do that, okay? Let's try it. Stay down. That's perfect. Stay down. Just wait for the body. Stay down. I've really been very, very hesitant in using any devices in teaching a game of tennis. But the use of the legs and staying down with your lower body is extremely important. And this training belt is the answer. It's fantastic. We've worked and worked to get that strong lower foundation. Why? Strong down below, strong up above. And that's the key, to have perfect foundation for the lower and upper part of the body. With that in mind, the techniques will stay constant. Apply it to your game.
The next test we're going to do is about controlled momentum. In tennis, that means when the lower body stops, the upper body stops with it. We call it the waiter test. Thank you. Good stuff.
In the left picture, trace the yellow line of X's athletic position. Notice his strong back posture with his weight forward on the balls of his feet. The picture on the right used to look at your athletic height. Your ideal athletic height will be approximately 1 foot lower than your standing height. That means if your normal standing height is 6 feet, your ideal athletic height will be around 5 feet.
To the killer forehand, the shoulders are nice and level. The upper body is very still. That's important. The whole foundation is built on a solid piece of rock.
Today in the lab, we're working on the first step reaction footwork, trying to find the proper technique to go from at rest into motion, to turn your big forehand into a killer forehand.
For extreme court coverage, you need an explosive reaction. The drop, step, and drive footwork proves quickest on all types of surfaces for getting to difficult balls. By shifting your weight off the outside foot and tucking the driving foot under your torso, your body weight provides traction, much like a front-wheel drive car in the snow, using the weight of the engine to give the tires traction. In one quick move, the drop step establishes upper body momentum in the direction you need to move. When the ball's only 3 or 4 steps away from you, you won't need such an explosive reaction. The weight shift and drive footwork is effective for less challenging balls. With footage of yourself in a good reaction position, your feet 1.5 to 2 shoulder widths apart, mark the positions of your feet. Draw an X in between the marks as shown and check for an explosive first step reaction. Your weight shifting off the outside foot, driving hard off the center X.
We've talked about the killer forehand. First of all, you've got to make up your mind you're going to hit that ball. There are lots of parts to developing the killer forehand, and an important part is timing. As soon as the ball leaves the opponent's racket, that's when the preparation starts. And remember, you can't prepare too soon.
Hit. Ball. Hit. To improve your reaction time, try this drill at home. You got a partner on the other side. When they make contact with the ball, say the word ball. When it's your turn to hit it, say the word hit. Not only will this put you in better position to allow you to be able to hit more killer forehands, but it's also going to improve your reaction time and anticipation skills.
You got to spring on that like a tiger. Good. That's excellent. And you didn't have to make that shot any bigger than what you just did. And that's the point I also want to bring out, David. You don't have to hit those approach defensive shots for outright winners, okay? You don't have to hit those approach shots for winners. In interviews, the same question. Nick, what do you look for when you're looking for a possible professional player? I'll tell you what I'm looking for. In order to have a killer forehand, you better have quick feet.
Like riding first gear in a bicycle, your first 2 to 5 steps have to be quick and on the ground and maximum acceleration. That'll help you run down difficult balls like the wide angle shot. For a test of it, let's go to the track and a race with Kenny.
In this race, we've got the little guy on the left who will be racing in first gear versus the big man. He'll be starting off in 10th gear. The gears of a bicycle are a good comparison to footwork strides in running. When you run, first gear footwork consists of short, powerful strides, the feet pumping quickly. 10th gear footwork are long, big, reaching strides, good for maintaining speed but not quick on acceleration. For maximum acceleration getting to difficult balls, use first gear footwork. From this angle, notice that first gear sprint footwork is always on the balls of the feet. If your heels are touching the ground in the first 2 to 5 steps, you're in 10th gear.
You're going to come up and catch the ball a little sooner. The more consistent you get, the more confident you get, the more challenging your mind becomes. I can do more. I can do more.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's event, featuring a match between test subject X and test subject Y. Let's get it on.
One of the trademarks of a great athlete is their ability to move with footwork as graceful and smooth as a dance. Several footwork patterns are commonly used and can be considered the dance steps of tennis, allowing great players to appear as if they are floating or gliding around the court. A strong foundation is a big part of creating this illusion. The crossover step allows for fluid side-to-side movement, quickly moving to and from the ball. The cross-behind step works well for moving to the side and back as well as in recovery. The shuffle step covers short distance as well. The adjustment steps are vital to fine-tuning your balance and positioning in your hitting stance.